The face-off for the biggest prize in sport. Two giants on collision course in the heaviest title fight in history. A supreme three-time world champion. A man who'd seen off all his rivals. A new force on the heavyweight scene with 31 stoppage wins in 32. Lennox Lewis returning from a year's absence, but could he reproduce his irresistible best? Vitali Klitschko with youth, height and power on his side. But did he have the heart of a champion? Would Lewis still prove out on his own, or would Klitschko herald a new heavyweight era? And most of all, was the champion confident or complacent? This time, the intrigue was even greater going into a world heavyweight title fight. Lewis against Klitschko held us in suspense from the start. The champion returning after a year's absence, only to change plans at short notice, taking on a challenger he'd tried everything to keep at bay. Was Lewis risking all? Was he underestimating Vitali Klitschko? All along, we looked like being the winners, and we weren't to be disappointed. Barry McGuigan is here to view it all again. We'll get Jim Watt's thoughts on it for the first time, and he's joined by leading boxing writer Colin Hart, who's seen plenty of heavyweight spectaculars, and this is one that will be talked about for many years to come. Later, we'll also have the best of the action from a four-title bill in Manchester. Michael Brodie looking to prove himself a world-class featherweight. But we go first to Los Angeles for the city's first world heavyweight title fight in a generation. And what a fight. Klitschko's on the way out at the Staples Centre as we join Glenn McCrory and Ian Darke.
They call him Dr. Iron Fist. It sounds like a character from a James Bond or Rocky movie, doesn't it? But Vitali Klitschko at 6'7" and 17 stone 10 pounds is no Ivan Drago. He's for real the WBC's #1 contender, and he's got 21 knockouts inside 2 rounds and a bit of support in the arena too, Glenn.
Yes, he has, but this is when the real nerves hit you. It's the dawning that he's going in for the biggest job of his life. He's fighting for the heavyweight title against Lennox Lewis, an on-form Lennox Lewis. And you know, he's got the credentials, he's done the training, he's done the fights, he's up to here, but this is his biggest test.
He lives in Los Angeles now, and he seems to be trading on that. He's coming into the old Eagles hit, Hotel California. Klitschko, a calm, studious, intelligent family man, and he's made his first mistake of the night. He's gone to the wrong corner.
Well, yeah, he's in the wrong corner. He's going to have to cross the ring to the other corner. Let's hope he knows where to go back to when the action starts.
He's an interesting character, all right, friendly and amiable, but will that icy temperament hold up in the hottest test that he's ever faced? Like Lennox, he's a man of the world, really, from the Ukraine, and proud to be from the Ukraine, but a big star in Germany where he's been based, and now he lives in America. Multilingual, plays chess like Lennox, and poker too.
How do you think he looks? I think he looks a little tense, a little stiff.
As stiff and as nervous as we've seen him all week, but a bit of controlled adrenaline's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, I just noticed, you know, he looks stiff, looks tense. There's a few big gulps going down there. You see his throat. It's a big night for Vitali Klitschko.
A year ago, it's a sight most of us never thought we'd see again. Lewis coming out to fight when it seemed he'd written the final chapter of a distinguished career by beating Mike Tyson in Memphis. But he's decided to go on, and he's dicing with danger a bit by doing it, pushing 38.
He is a little bit, but you know, he was dicing with danger a year ago against Mike Tyson, and I suppose he's been dicing with danger all his career. You know, big names he's fought throughout his career: Ruddock, Mercer, Tucker, Gallotta, Holy. You know, he's went right through them all, through an era of fighters, and he's always kept that steely look, and he's ducked nobody. You've got to respect Lennox for that.
Why do fighters go on? I remember asking that to Sugar Ray Leonard once. Why do you keep coming back? Is it ego, glamour, money? He said yes, all of those.
Well, it's right. You're a fighter. This is also what he does. This is all he's ever known. As a youngster, as an adult, all he's ever known is training and getting ready and fighting. Very hard to walk away into the unknown.
He's already secured his niche in history. This is his 18th World Heavyweight Championship fight tonight. He's been at the top for a decade. Only Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis and Larry Holmes have had more title fights than this man. Is he risking the legacy, though? And what about that weight? 18 stone, 4.5 is the heaviest of his career by 3.5 pounds, and it's half a stone more than he looked against Mike Tyson when he was cut and sleek and athletic. But he looks right to me going to the ring here.
Well, mentally he looks right. You know, he looks focused, he looks determined. He looks like he always does. Very cool. I'm sure he's a good chess player. He's a pretty good poker player as well, Lennox.
He says, Vitali Klitschko's been calling me out. Now he's going to find out what he's been asking for. The camp say there is no problem with the weight. It's deliberate. Believe me, said Emmanuel Stewart. He's in great shape, and I know. Michael Buffer, as ever, to conduct the ring introductions in his own inimitable style.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, Lion Promotions is proud to present 12 rounds of boxing for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Brought to you in association with SEN, E-Commerce Technology, Prize Fight Promotions, Universal Box Promotions, Jacob Watch Company, Perfect 10 Magazine, and the King of Beers, Budweiser. Sanctioned by the WBC, the IBO, and the California State Athletic Commission Chairman Van Gordon Souter, Vice Chairman Sanford Michelman. The 3 judges at ringside scoring this contest on the 10-point system will be Dr. James Jenkin, Tom Kaczmarek, and Pat Russell. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Dr. Lou Moret. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with gold letters and officially weighing 248 pounds. His professional record, 32 victories, including 31 knockouts, with only 1 defeat. Tonight, he comes to the ring prepared to step through the threshold of greatness. From Kiev, Ukraine, the fighter with a PhD, the #1 ranked heavyweight contender in the world, the former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Dr. Iron Fist Vitali Klitschko. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white with red letters and officially weighing in at 256.5 pounds. In 1998, he captured Olympic gold, and now, as a professional, he has a record of 40 victories, including 31 knockouts against 2 defeats with 1 draw. And by way of rematch, he is one of the few fighters in boxing history to have defeated every opponent he has ever faced. From London, England, the linear, legitimate, universally recognized, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
Great atmosphere and a big crowd at the Staples Center for what could be a dramatic fight.
In the dressing room, I want a good, clean fight. Listen to my commands, shake hands, and await the bout. Good luck to both.
Half a lifetime ago in this city, Lennox Lewis was beaten at at the Olympic Games by Tyrrell Biggs. He hasn't fought in LA since. Well, he's back now. Will Vitali Klitschko make good on his promise to exploit weaknesses he's seen in Lennox Lewis? Is this a fight too far for Britain's greatest champion? Answers coming up right now. Will Lewis try to jump on Klitschko early on? He's been very, very aggressive usually when he's fought big men. Looking for that right hand straight away. Klitschko with his awkward but sometimes effective style gets in with a right hand as they work in close. Two juggernauts in a head-on collision here. 36 stone of heavyweight in the ring. It's a record for the division.
They really are two massive athletes, aren't they? But they've got speed, they've got power. Lennox facing up, which he doesn't have to do very often.
Klitschko has demolished two British opponents, Julius Francis and Herbie Hyde, in 2 rounds. But this would be some hat-trick if he was to complete it. Who establishes control with the jab? Watch for that as it gets untidy early on here.
I think the jab is a key, Ian. Somebody's got to try and get control with that punch.
And although Klitschko is a couple of inches taller at 6'7", it's Lewis who has the reach advantage of about 6 inches. It's a huge 84-inch wingspan for Lewis.
Well, I'm sure Klitschko's getting his first surprise, feeling the physical strength of Lennox Lewis. I think all the fighters that go in with him are amazed by how physically strong he is.
Maybe he's feeling the strength of Klitschko too. Gets there with a right hand that momentarily seemed to trouble Lewis, who hasn't got his jab going yet.
Well, the right hand is the danger punch. Lennox drops that left, and Klitschko will be looking to capitalise on that.
No sign of Klitschko freezing early on. He's holding his own.
Watch the elbows, watch the elbows. Stop, stop, stop.
It is literally a trial of strength on the inside. Lewis is giving away 6 years. Klitschko's only lost once in 33 fights, and that was on an injury. It's a good start this by Klitschko, who rams in a very good-looking right hand. He's getting the better of things in this opening round.
Yes, he's the one that's getting the punches off first, Ian, and he's getting through with that jab.
And the right hand forces Lewis back. Signs of early problems, but Lewis has been there and done it so many times before. There is a feeling, though, he might have to do it quickly tonight, lugging 18 stone, 4.5 pounds around. He's looking for the right hand over the top. Lewis does sometimes leave his left quite low and leaves himself open to that. At last, Lewis gets the jab working and an uppercut, but it was the challenger's opening round. This might be very interesting, Glenn.
Well, I think it's always been the case that this would be an interesting fight, because Lennox is facing a younger boxer who boxes like him.
Nicht mit Gewalt reinfallen in den Mann. So ist alles okay. Du hast es ein paar Mal so gut getroffen in den
Prince Sadunek,
Du willst zu sehr
the main
direkt,
trainer
dann
in the
kommst du
corner.
raus, Du bist zu fest noch. Locker, dann schnell.
But you're putting a lot of pressure on him. He's not used to fighting that much, okay?
Take your time, baby. Take your time. Get that jab.
He's breathing heavy as hell over
Yeah, he's not used to fighting this type of pressure. Just keep the pressure
Well,
on
did
him.
you hear that?
He's
From
out, he's in your
Al Gavin, the
battlefield. Just
Kaczmarek,
keep
he's
the
breathing
jab
heavy.
is working good.
Yeah, they think Klitschko's already breathing heavily after that first round. The first round, which he was a little busier in, and he got through with a couple of nice shots like that right hand.
Very interesting. They love a big fight in LA. They haven't had enough of them. But this Staples Center had a thriller between Shane Mosby and Oscar De La Hoya a couple of years back. Klitschko started well, but can Lewis get his jab going? Oh, there's a big right hand from Klitschko. He's fast with it as well.
Yeah, that's the danger for Lewis. Lewis is trying to get that jab working. He's pushed the head back of Klitschko a couple of times.
Don't hold. Step
Klitschko
back.
can be dangerous with the left hook as well. He seemed pretty nerveless all week. I had no emotion, he said, when I heard I was fighting Lewis. And yet again, his quick hands troubling the long reigning champion.
Lennox seems to be lacking a little bit of sharpness early on.
Well, there might be ring rust. Over a year out of the ring, it's the longest break in his career between fights. Taking this at 2 weeks' notice and gets it with the right hand, and Lewis wants to hold. He's hurt by that. He wanted to hold. Klitschko has got him a bit wobbly here. Lewis is in trouble here in round 2. Did he say something to Klitschko on the inside?
He seemed to smile and say something, but he definitely got hurt by that shot. Lennox's chin is coming in the air.
All the makings of an upset early on here. Can Lewis turn this around again? He's hit with the right hand by this big, strong Ukrainian.
Lewis looking ponderous. There's not a great deal of snap or sharpness there.
Well, we feared this might happen when we saw the way, but there's a left jab of some authority by Lewis, and that rocked Klitschko momentarily. Stopped him in his tracks. It was a heavy, heavy shot. Best yet from Lewis. But Klitschko comes back again, and Lewis, his defence looks a bit leaky tonight.
Well, I think there's definite ring rust there. He's looking slow and ponderous.
The longer this goes, it won't get any easier. Another right hand and another one from Klitschko, who looks the boss at the moment. But you never know. This is the kind of fight where one punch could turn the whole thing around.
Well, Lennox is trying to take the fight to Klitschko, but he's walking on the punches as he comes forward.
Klitschko got there with a left hook as well. Lewis is trying to gamble with big shots. He's forgotten the jab, and he's leaving himself really open. He just looks a shadow of himself at the moment. Where's that authority and sharpness and snap? And Klitschko, at the moment, is looking the likely winner of this.
Well, it's an exciting start, but Lewis doesn't seem to have a game plan. He's just walking forward, trying to get shots on. There's no strategy.
Take it to him now. The left hook is working good. Just take it to him, and when you get through with every punch, start pushing him. You understand? Use your experience.
Muss jetzt kommen. Macht mehr und dann konterst du ihn ab.
Emmanuel Stewart says take it to him. Gamble by the sound of it.
Well, he's got to be careful because he's doing that at the moment. All he's doing is walking forward, trying to gamble, and he's leaving himself wide open. Klitschko's teeing off with big right hands like that. He just seems to be without any sort of game plan. He doesn't seem to know what he wants to do, Lennox.
Stewart seems certain that the hook is going to get him in the end, but it's Klitschko. Dr. Iron Fist, as he's known. He's beginning to show why in here. And now Lewis goes for it. Is he going to show championship quality here with an all-out attack?
Well, Lewis should have forgotten more than Klitschko's ever known. So he's got to try and do something special here.
Looks a bit of damage by Lewis's left eye. And there's a cut now by Klitschko's left. As he turns around, Klitschko is cut by the left eye.
Good work with the jab from Klitschko.
Well, there'll be tremendous excitement in the city square in Kiev, where I think 100,000 people were planning to gather to watch this. But Lewis isn't done with yet. Not quite.
This is better from Lewis. Looks strong and forceful as he backs Klitschko up behind that jab.
The cut's bad. He's blinking away the blood. Klitschko, it's a problem. We thought it might be dramatic. It is.
Lewis looking for the big left hook. Normally the right hand follows that.
He's got a real problem with that cut, Glenn.
He has, and we know he doesn't react well when he's injured. Quit the last time, his only loss on an injury.
Well, he's going to have to show the right temperament and mentality tonight. He surely wouldn't quit in this situation, getting the better of things. Now Lewis starts to find the range with that jab. Is Klitschko going to be discouraged by the injury? This is where his lack of experience at this rarefied level might just come into play.
Well, Lewis is getting the better of this round. That solid jab, backing Klitschko up.
There's the jab again. Is there a turning of the tide in this round with the cut? He walked onto a right hand, Lewis, but walked straight through it, surprisingly.
The left hand is down from Lewis. He can't afford to gamble too much.
The cut's a terrible mess. But Lewis, after a bad opening 2 rounds, is beginning to establish himself a little.
Well, maybe he's just getting the ring rust off. But certainly this is a lot better in this round. He's got a plan, he knows what he's doing now.
They both look tired already. It's almost a case of which of these 2 oak trees will be the last standing in the forest.
But I think that cut has worried Klitschko.
They need to get to work on that, and quickly. Otherwise, it might signal the end of his hopes in the fight. He looks dispirited all of a sudden. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
A really, really bad cut.
Oh, a horrible gash, which might signal the end of the fight. Is he going to be able to carry on with that?
Looks like they've controlled that.
Yeah, keep watching it. Okay? Linke Hand und weggehen, nicht stehen bleiben. Geht zur Seite. Kommt gleich wieder rein in diese Runde, wirst du sehen.
Well, that is a terrible, terrible cut. He's not going to be able to go along with that, Ian.
No, it's a really bad gash, and it's a shame. He was caught too with jabs, and once he got the jab going, he got some other punches going too, Lewis.
Well, that showed that right hand. That's what looked like where the cut was caused. Certainly saw the blood there.
Let's go, we gotta go. Not too much, not too much.
Klitschko has to go for it here.
Big right hand from Lewis.
He's mauling Klitschko as they work in close. There's no knockdown there. He missed with the left hand. Oh, and Klitschko then looked as if he tried to kick Lewis while on the floor. Lewis picks him up. Extraordinary. And the crowd burst into applause.
Lewis just looking for the big right hand. He senses victory, senses he can land with that punch.
The cut doesn't look quite so bad at the moment. I must say the cut work in the corner didn't look the most sophisticated for Klitschko's team, did it?
No, I don't think there's an awful lot you could do with a cut like that. It was a slash, a jagged slash. Nowhere really to fix that.
Left jab, right hand follows. Both have had periods of ascendancy in establishing that lead left hand. And everything else flows off that. There are moments here where they both look ready to go.
Lewis was caught a little short right hand, still dropping that left. Got to be careful in there.
What about Lewis's stamina, Glenn, at 18 stone 4.5 tonight?
That's exactly right. If this goes a long while, Lewis might feel it more. He's on the 37-year-old legs.
Klitschko's got the jab working and is keeping Lewis away for the most part in this round. It's been a good little comeback, this, from the Ukrainian, who's never mixed at this kind of level before.
He's just a little bit busier than Lewis in this round. Lewis looking tired.
Lewis is gasping, but we've seen that before in fights, notably against Shalko Mavrovic, and somehow he's come through it.
Well, nobody's ever doubted Lewis's heart.
Another big right hand, but Lewis gets back again with the jab. It's fascinating, this. You wouldn't like to call it from this point, would you?
You certainly wouldn't. It's a really tough fight for both these competitors.
The feeling that one of these two is going to detonate something pretty decisive sometime soon. Last few seconds of round 4. Klitschko just the busier. The two heavyweights who look like they've done 10 rounds already.
Nicht so oft stehen bleiben. Deine linke Hand schnell boxen, das ist wichtig. Klinke.
Лево прямой, лево прямой. Левый сбоку. Покажи лево прямой, лево сбоку.
Immer wieder schön nach rechts überlegen, dass du deine rechte Hand vermeidest.
И вправо уходи.
Wenn er jetzt seine rechte bringt, schlägst du deine rechte auf der Innenbahn mit. Ganz schnell, ja?
Maybe I was a little unkind about the cut work because they've done something to stem the flow, haven't
They
they?
certainly have. Yeah, they've worked on that well.
This is the first heavyweight championship fight here since 1958 when Floyd Patterson stopped Roy Harris, who is at ringside tonight, still looking well.
Come on, guys.
Lee Moret, the referee, dwarfed by these two giants of the ring. Round 5. This is the round that Emmanuel Stewart, the trainer of Lewis, predicted a finisher.
Lewis looking for the uppercut.
Good left hand from Lewis, turned the punch cleverly. But Klitschko's been used to going long distances in his recent fights. 6 out of the last 7 have gone at least 9 rounds.
Well, he's loading up an awful lot, Lennox. That'll take a lot more out of him as he hammers that body.
Well, he's hit in about a dozen shots to the rib cage as they hold on the inside there. Is Klitschko prepared to go through the pain barrier this time, to fight in the trenches? He's going to do it this time. He can't walk away from it as he did when he had the shoulder injury against Chris Bird. He was blinded by pain, he said that night. Others didn't believe him.
Good left hook there from Klitschko.
He seems to be just the boss, doesn't he? Lewis looking a bit troubled and disorganised as he sacks against the ropes. Is he trying to just play possum a bit and invite Klitschko in? I don't think so. I think he's tired. He's tottering a bit around the ring, Lewis.
He is. I think he's feeling it in this round. Another good one for Klitschko.
Is this evidence of what everybody was saying after the weigh-in, that unless Lewis can win it quickly, he might not win it at all? Lennox is getting a bit swollen under his left eye too.
And Klitschko is taking the punches that Lennox throws quite well.
Showing good boxing ability as well. Klitschko is just caught there by a right hand. Luckily, it just seemed to glance off the temple rather than catch him flush. The cut's worse again for Klitschko, and it comes at a point where he looks dominant.
Good jab from Lennox there.
If the fight was stopped because of that cut, now they would go to the scorecards. Well, Lewis fought well for the last 20 seconds of the round, but Klitschko breathes heavily as he goes back to the corner, and his face is a mess. Is there a cut on the cheek as well, or is that just the blood from the eye?
I think the cheek's cut as well.
Yeah, another gash.
All around that left eye is swollen and cut.
It's not bleeding there, bad. Just
to clarify the cuts rule, if it is deemed that the cut was caused by a punch and Klitschko can't go on, Lewis would be champion. They wouldn't go to the scorecards. If they thought it was a clash of heads and it was an accidental clash of heads, they do go to the scorecards. Well, it's a bit complicated, and we'll kind of cross the bridge if and when we have to get to it.
Well, it is a terrible injury, both above and below that eye. But his temperament's been good, Klitschko. He's kept it together.
I've only given Lewis the third so far.
That's exactly the same as me. The others all to Klitschko, who's just been busier.
The crowd in this $375 million arena sense a possible shock, but it's only a possible shock. Are we watching the final scenes of Lennox Lewis's third reign as world heavyweight champion? Our American TV colleagues have it closer, with Klitschko only a point ahead. Good shots again from the Ukrainian. Klitschko says he learned things even on the set of Ocean's 11, where both these two fighters were involved. Just being around Lewis, he sensed weaknesses about him. He studied him, fought the fight 1,000 times in his head. Oh, what an uppercut from Lewis! Absolute peach, but Klitschko took that too without going down. That was right out of the textbook from Lennox.
That was really the punch of the fight. Uppercut.
That might have been a fight-ending punch on another night. But Klitschko's showing his bottle here, isn't he, now?
He really is. With such damage, he's still around the eye, he's still fighting, he's took some good shots, but he's still trying to work hard.
Worth reminding ourselves that in his last fight, Vitali Klitschko was the first man to stop the durable Larry Donald. That was late. He has been winning his fights late in recent times. Ross Purity, Vaughan Bean, people like that from the second division of the heavyweight league. I think that uppercut has caused blood from Klitschko's mouth as well. He must be very, very uncomfortable in there. Gashes all over the place. Three American judges scoring, by the way, as the heads clash on the inside again. This is a rough, hard fight.
Well, they're both looking pretty tired, looking to hold on. Not much real action in this round, a lot of clinching.
Sharp little left hook, and Klitschko looks strong as he bulls Lewis back across the ring. Not too worried if he has to use arms, elbows, anything. But I think Lewis tonight might have met someone who's as physically strong as him.
Yeah, I think that might be true. And if he is, Lennox will be feeling it more.
Oh, there's the uppercut again from Lewis, who is showing some championship quality because he's tired, but this is not a fighter at his peak anymore. This is around the age that Joe Lewis and Muhammad Ali came apart at the seams.
Turn your head around. It's down to your level. You got to get out and get it out.
Have a look at the damage at Klitschko's eye.
Think he's ending up? No, should we stop it? Huh? Stop it?
They've stopped the fight. They've stopped the fight, and they're going to declare Lewis the winner. They think it was caused by a punch. It doesn't go to the scorecards. The crowd are in uproar. But Lewis is still the champion. Klitschko cannot go on because of the cuts. The end comes suddenly at the end of round 6 in a fight that must have been in the balance. But I think there's going to be a row here. Should they be going to the cards?
Well, there's arguments. Klitschko's shouting no, he can't believe it.
I don't think Klitschko knows he was retired. Absolute mayhem here. Arguments going on. Lewis has been declared the winner by the referee, who must have thought a cut caused it, but if it was deemed to be a clash of heads, an accidental, they should be going to the scorecards.
They should be. He's furious in there. Klitschko and Lennox Lewis being declared the winner here.
The big Los Angeles crowd are not happy about that ending, but those are bad injuries. Klitschko is claiming a moral victory, and it would be interesting to know what the cards were saying at that point, wouldn't it?
It certainly would be. Lennox who's got a cut on the nose in the last round, but the crowd have rallied around to Klitschko's case a little bit.
We await some clarification, but we believe Lennox Lewis has been declared the winner of the fight. Certainly the referee did that. And Adrian Ogan is in there, the manager of Lewis. Klitschko's people are making a point about it. It's getting a bit tasty in there. One or two people are losing their tempers. And somebody needs to keep it under control.
Well, I think it's Klitschko mainly who is the antagonist. He's furious at what's gone on. His brother Vladimir trying to calm him down.
What did your card say at the point it was stopped?
I have Klitschko 2 points ahead.
And I had Klitschko leading 2 at that point. Listen to the boos. The crowd here believe that Klitschko has got a raw deal, if indeed he has lost the fight. This is one of the most controversial finishes in heavyweight history, certainly in recent times.
Well, the crowd are on Klitschko's side.
It's unsatisfactory, isn't it?
It is. I was sure that we heard Vitali Klitschko asking Lewis for a rematch,
which I think, by popular demand, he ought to get. Whether Lewis wants that kind of argument again, such a physical, hard fight, must be very much open to question. But we believe Lennox Lewis is still the heavyweight champion of the world after the drama.
After 6 grueling rounds of heavyweight championship boxing here at Staples Center, Los Angeles, the bout is called to an end. Referee Lou Moret, acting on the advice of Dr. Paul Wallace at ringside, has called a halt to the contest because of severe injuries suffered by Klitschko. The winner, officially at the end of 6 rounds by TKO victory, and still heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
Congratulations, Lennox. You said that he had no skill level and that he had no heart. What do you say now?
Well, you know, if the fight would have went more, they should have stopped.
No, the fight didn't go more. What happened in the 6 rounds? What is your impression of him now?
He's okay. Yeah, what do you want me to say?
I want you to say what you say. Was it a harder fight than you anticipated?
No, not really. I was getting to him. There's no way he could have finished the fight. If you look at the state of his face, there's no way. He's lucky the fight was stopped. I was just getting to him, and he was just deteriorating anyway. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just asking you for your impressions because you seem to dismiss him that he could even compete with you.
Well, yeah, of course he can compete with me. That's why he's here in the #1 position.
Well, I understand you were behind on all the judges' scorecards.
Listen, he would have got knocked out the next couple of rounds. It was just a matter of time. He was definitely deteriorating. So I don't even know what you're talking about, Larry.
Well, I'm telling you what the score is. Huh? I'm just telling you what the scoring of the officials was.
Oh, okay. So anyway, the referee's lucky he stopped the fight. Anyway, look at the state of his face.
Would you say now that he has no heart?
Well, you know, you would have seen the next couple rounds. He would have probably. He would have probably
give him any credit, it seems.
I do give him credit. He's in #1 position. He's my mandatory. I gave him a chance to fight, and you know, I dismissed him in the sense of, you know, I got to him. Look at the state of his face.
What made him difficult to fight?
You know, he's got an unusual style, European style. Plus, I only had a week to prepare for it. So, you know.
He seemed to be able to somehow avoid your big right hand. How did he do that?
Well, I wouldn't say he avoided them. And you know, like I said, the next couple of rounds would have told the whole thing.
Were you tired? You looked like you were tired as well.
Oh, I was just getting my second win, Larry.
Were you hurt by a punch in around the second round? It seemed that it shook you a little bit. Were you surprised? Did it wake you up?
Yeah, it definitely did wake me up, you know. We're big guys. Any punch from both of us is going to hurt. So, you know, I hurt him a couple of times, even more times than he hurt me.
Was your plan to make it this kind of a brawl because you felt that he had never been in such a fight and that he could not go a distance?
You know, I still feel he cannot go the distance with me. As you can see, he was definitely deteriorating. That's why I was trying to stay close to him and slugging it out, because he's never been in a dogfight. Most of his fights that I've seen, he's just stayed back and basically jabbed, did what he wants, and that's what happened. So my plan was just to go in there, dog him, stay close to him, make him throw a lot of punches.
I don't recall your being in too many dogfights like this. This was a tremendous fight for 6 rounds.
Yeah, I wanted to be in a dogfight, because I know when the going gets tough, the tough get going. I'm tougher than him.
Could you see through the eye?
I see very well. I don't know why this doctor stopped the fight. I feel me very well. I can fight. I know. It's Lennox Lewis promised to knock me in 5 rounds. I know. Why you know? Because he don't have condition in 5 rounds.
How could you tell he wasn't in condition?
He's very heavy. I saw every punch. He don't punch me very hard. This was not. You know, it's everyone. So I am good prepared for this fight. I take everyone jab. I punch him with everyone jab.
How were you able to avoid his right hand? Could you see it that easily?
You know, it's he never one time punched me very hard with right hand, because I saw every punch. He's a good fighter. He make great fights. I know in this fight, when doctor don't stop, I win this fight. I win this fight by point. You know, you can see my fight record. I can knock in first round. I can fight this last round and knock him in 11 or 12 rounds. I want rematch. When doctor stop the fight, I won't fight again. I show for everybody I can be Lewis.
Will you give him a rematch?
You know, if it calls for, if the money's right, yeah, definitely.
Why do you think the fans were cheering him and booing you at the end?
I wouldn't say that, Larry. You know, I wouldn't really say that.
Because, do you think maybe they were just surprised that he fought better than they anticipated, and they were cheering for the underdog?
I wouldn't say that, Larry. I wouldn't say that. I would say that they like a good fight. The fact that he stuck in there with me for those couple of rounds, I made it a good fight. I think that's what they appreciate. But like I said, if the fight would have went on, he definitely would have retired. I would have knocked him out. It was just a matter of time. I was definitely getting to him. Look at the state of his face. You know, I'm #1. No guy tests.
Well, you are the champion. But what might have happened, we don't know. What did happen, we do know. Thanks.
Yes, Lennox Lewis is the best. I lay them all to rest.
Larry Merchant and Vitali Klitschko appear to have taken something of the gloss off Lennox Lewis' reign, at least for now. So much for Colin, Jim and Barry to discuss when we come back. Surely no one will question Vitali Klitschko's courage again. Lewis may not have been well prepared, but he was prepared to dig deep, and he had to. No wonder they want a rematch. It nearly started right away. Klitschko will grow in defeat, but he wants victory, and he believes it will be his if they meet again. Surely even bigger tests await Lewis now. It was quite a close-run thing. Jim, what was your overview of the performance by Lennox Lewis?
Well, I think Klitschko is the only one who comes out with any credit whatsoever, and that includes the whole of the Lennox Lewis camp. Nobody did their job properly. Lewis was overweight, he was out of shape, he was arrogant, he didn't get started at all, and he's a very, very lucky man. I think they were both close to exhaustion by the end of the 6th round, but I think the 7th round would have produced its own ending. I think the 7th round would have told us who was going to win that fight. So lucky for Lennox Lewis, it didn't get that far because it was well in the balance. I think Lewis may have dug in a little bit deeper because he's done it before, but there's no certainty.
Wasn't he doing that anyway, Colin? Digging deeper?
Yes, he had to dig deep to hang in there. But I'm not going to give Jim any argument. He's a very lucky man to still be heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, if you saw, I thought he was in denial after the fight. I mean, the way he slumped to his stall at the end of the 6th round, he said he would have knocked Klitschko out in the 7th or 8th. Could he have got up off the stall to fight at the start of the 7th, the way he looked? They were both tired, but I thought Lewis, because he wasn't in as good a condition as Klitschko, was even more tired than the Ukrainian.
Barry, on Saturday night you told us you believe Lewis was a fading fighter. Do you stand by that now?
Yeah, I believe that he's earned so much money. He was ill-prepared for the fight, and that can only be down to a subconsciousness that he's happy. He knocked out Tyson. Colin said it the other day, he should have retired there and then. He's carried on. He was so convincing against Tyson, he thought, well, I'll carry it on, but he was ill-prepared for the other night. He was overconfident and he was out of shape, and he knows that. That's the bottom line. He knows it.
The catch which won it for Lewis, when he was behind on the cards, is there any doubt in anyone's mind that it was a legitimate blow?
Punch. It was a little, have a look at the way he hit him. He actually hit him. If we see it in slow motion, stay from another angle here, it's a right hand that actually turns over, and it's actually his thumb, and you see the way it actually hit him. And if you actually lean back and the flesh underneath your eyebrow is very loose, and it tears if you put that.
Yeah, it's a glancing blow. It actually tears the skin.
Yeah, tears
a punch knocks the skin against the eyebrow. That causes a cut. But that was a tearing punch, and that's tore the skin. That's why it was in such a mess. And the corner did an excellent job.
Yeah, I would call it a slashing punch, and they're very similar to the punch that Muhammad Ali hit Henry Cooper with when they fought for the world title back in 1966. I think that was the worst cut I'd seen until this one against Klitschko. I thought that was a horrible cut and could have been stopped when it happened at the end of the 3rd.
Well, the ringside physician eventually did step in, Dr. Paul Wallace, and he told us afterwards why he took his decision to call it off.
The corner people did a very good job in controlling the bleeding throughout the fight. The problem was not the blood. Usually 95–99% of the time it's because a cut is bleeding into the eye and the boxer is unable to see. In this particular case, the lid was detached to a point that he needed to tilt his head to be able to see. Therefore, wouldn't be able to see, pick up a punch that would come, such like a hook. So there was no other option in that case, even though he may have felt okay, even though he may feel as though that he could have adapted to the situation, he wouldn't have cleared on any criteria to be able to continue.
It might heal physically, and let's hope he gets the best attention for it, but will it leave some sort of mental problem behind when it's that bad, Jim?
I don't think so. I think it's quite the opposite. I think Klitschko's really up for this fight. I think he must have had some doubts. We saw him at press conferences. He looked a little bit low-key. I think he knew he'd never fought anybody of Lewis's stature before. He must have wondered, could he do it? He knows he can do it now. The cut, I don't think it will come into his mind. And thankfully, it wasn't a deep cut. It was a horrible cut. It was a wide cut. It was a tearing cut. But it wasn't deep. There's no reason that should reopen without a similar type of punch.
So it's unlikely to be a problem for the rest of his boxing
I disagree
career?
with Jim on 2 points. I think he never wavered in his confidence before the fight. He was very confident, Klitschko. He's now even more confident, and I think that cut is a dreadful cut, and I think it's going to take 9 months at least. And there's a big question: will Lewis give him the time to allow that cut to recover? I don't think he will, because I don't think he wants to be around that long.
Let's look at the reasons why Vitali Klitschko might believe, second time round, Barry, he can give Lewis even more problems, because early in the fight he produced so much, didn't he?
He gave, you know, I don't like his awkward tall, and Jim and I were talking off camera about how his how his technique is not great. Look at the way he's throwing that leg in front. It's a good job for Lewis that he hasn't got better technique. Again, square on when he's throwing the right hand. But far too much. Lewis has been hit far too much, and this right hand here is the best shot he hits him with. And Lewis took it, and it's because he doesn't have good technique with that right hand that he actually took that shot.
I think that Klitschko's got an even better chance next time because Lennox Lewis is a middle-aged man. You know, he's 37, he'll be 38 then, and he's declined as an athlete. He's gone soft.
OK, but he took the Klitschko fight, Colin, surely because he thought easy fight. And on the basis of what you knew of Vitali Klitschko, did he surprise you, Klitschko, with his performance and the problems he gave Lewis?
Yes, he did surprise me a great deal. But I do not believe that... I thought Lennox Lewis plays the percentages. He's a chess player. He knew that if he didn't take Klitschko now, he would have had to wait till November and been out the ring 18 months. He'd also done 6 or 7 weeks in camp, and he didn't want to waste that time as well.
Well, that's a fair comment. That's good sense. It's common sense. But the point is, he doesn't, and this is what I've stressed all along, he doesn't like upset. He doesn't like change. He doesn't deal with it very well. And the fact that the guy came in, and although he should have been in shape, but there's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
The change of opponent...
He wasn't in shape for any opponent. He would have had as much trouble with Kirk Johnson. He would have had as much trouble. He wasn't in shape.
Was Lennox, hang on, sorry, but just to give Lewis his due here, Colin, you know, afterwards he told us, and you echoed it, Jim, I got the job done. Was he right, Lewis, in saying, I was turning it round?
He didn't get the job done. Circumstances got the job done. Lennox Lewis didn't get the job done. I think the problem for Lennox is at the stage in his career, fighters that age go into the gym, they think they're training as hard as they did the last time, but they're not. It's just getting harder to do. They think they're training hard, but it's not. It's just getting hard to do. But Manny Stewart, he should have looked at Lennox Lewis and knew he wasn't training properly.
This is the thing,
he wasn't in condition. He's the man who takes most of the blame.
This is what I'm saying now. OK, in the later rounds, this is his best round. This is his 6th round where Lewis is coming on strong. But the guy, it's the end of the round. That's the important point to look at. You look at Lewis at the end of this round. That's the last punch he throws. And watch, let's go back to the column. Watch how Lennox slumps on his stool. He's absolutely exhausted at that stage.
You know, sometimes Manny Stewart, bless him, insults our intelligence.
Yeah, he really does.
Last week, Barry, he said, Lennox Lewis is in the best shape of his life.
Hang on, Colin. We'll stop you there, because afterwards he did front up and he tried to put a gloss on this display by Lewis.
I don't think we were happy, but I was not unhappy with the way he fought because it was just very difficult. We knew that because of the height. And he did the best he could under the conditions. The main thing was just to wear Klitschko down, try to just smother him, wear him down, and work a hard left jab to bust him up with the left jab, which worked effectively. Probably about the 8th and 9th round, the fight would have been over with anyway. But we knew it was going to be an awkward and a difficult fight.
Lennox did get hit more than usual, though.
He got hit more than usual because the guy's style. He's not used to being a short guy, and he was a little relaxed, thinking as if the guy would be short with his punches, but this guy naturally was bigger than Lennox, and he had longer punches, and he was hitting Lennox. But he adjusted. He did what he had to do, which is basically to be very physical, keep moving forward, and wearing the guy on with a hard left jab. So, you know, you're not going to look great at all times, but the main thing, you get to win, and you move on.
There you are, Colin. It was easy enough. It was almost pre-planned, almost.
Yeah, going back to the point I made when he said at 37 he's in the best shape of his life. There is no man on earth who can be in the best shape at 37 years of age. Yeah. Last week, Manny Stewart said Klitschko is made for Lennox Lewis.
Exactly.
He loves big, tall guys. Now he's saying the star was the problem. You know,
that's exactly the point that I'm beginning to lose my confidence in Manny Stewart. He used to have great credibility in my mind, great respect. I'm beginning to lose my respect for him because he did say that he would knock this guy tall, rangy, easy to hit. He'd knock him out quickly.
He will have some input in what does happen next for Lennox Lewis, of course. Roy Jones or a rematch with Klitschko, perhaps. Here's the view from the business manager of Lennox Lewis.
I've been approached by Universe and his promotional company. We're in the middle of negotiations for a Roy Jones fight, but I've said to them that we'll look at the option of a rematch after we've finished our negotiations.
So it's all smiles. Stewart says it all just about went to plan. It's all part of Adrian Ogan's big business plan. Who is making the decisions in that camp, Colin?
Well, it's about 4 of them, by the sound of it.
That's not good, is it?
No, I think the last word goes with Lennox Lewis, who now regards himself not only a fighter, but as his own promoter. So, no, he will have the final say. They will all put in their 2 penneth.
Jim?
Yeah, that's for definite. And I think Lennox, if he's going to box again, it must be Klitschko. Let's face it, the champion has defeated the #1 contender on injury. there has to be a rematch. I mean, we had a rematch with Evander Holyfield, not because it was a great fight, because it was a bad decision. But there's even more reason for a rematch here, because it was inconclusive and obviously just the injury.
I agree with that entirely. I think Roy Jones will pan it out and drag it out as long as he wants. He'll say, I don't want to fight him, he's 60 pounds heavier, I want so much money and all that sort of thing. I agree with Jim. I think Klitschko deserves a rematch. I thought he was 2 rounds ahead, could have won the fight.
Hasn't he seen enough, Lewis, to be wary of that rematch, given Klitschko's performance?
But look, at this guy's a champion. I don't, we can.
He's the number 1 contender, exactly, he is the number 1 contender. There's no choice.
We can criticise Lennox as much as we, and it was a bad night for him. But the bottom line is, he's a good man, he's a good champion, and he will not want to go out like that. He
but
will
Colin,
has he not got more cheering as
this,
opposed to booing?
Has he not got more to lose than to gain at this stage compared to the other top heavyweights of previous eras by continuing?
It would have. Oh, of course he has. He should have retired, as I said, after Tyson last year. But can you imagine him fighting Roy Jones and losing to Roy Jones? He would be ridiculed.
It would be horrible. He'd look horrible against Jones.
But can I make the point that you made? This cut, that, you know, we're not doctors, but from our experience in boxing, that was horrendous cut. It's going to take 6 months to heal properly, but he won't be able to spar once it's healed. No. It will be probably 9 months before, as Barry said, before he could fight again, which takes you well into next year. And is Lewis going to hang around for that?
Well, we'll find out with great interest. Of course, the World Heavyweight title fight is not likely to be forgotten by any of us who witnessed it. But on the undercard, a couple of bouts intended to raise the profile of women's boxing. And they did much for the standing of their sport.